Afternoon for everyone. Actually, we are talking from Brazil. So here it's 10 a.m. So good morning for those who are watching from Brazil as well. We are going to talk about intergenerational relationships, the benefits and actions with a positive impact at the new position of the 50 plus. We are two women who worked on longevity for quite a while now. Eliane Kreisler is a management and career consultant for people over 50. She has done a lot of projects for big companies in age diversity and education for longevity. She's a co-founder of a channel on YouTube called Longe Talks, which we really recommend you to watch. There are people all over the world. And she's a managing partner of Pontes and Conexões and lecturer on longevity. My name is Juliana Ramalho. I am the CEO of Talento Senior, a company that recruits people over 50 to work on small and medium companies and startups as well. I'm an engineer and I have worked in a bank before my career on longevity. So we want to talk a little bit about the Brazilian market so you can understand. Here in Brazil, we are talking about more than 200 million people. How we are divided now into generations. 20% of people in Brazil, we call them young, which means that they are from 0 to 15 years old. So we are talking about 43 million people. And then the adults that we say from 15 to 59, 65% of our population. And nowadays, 33 million seniors over 60. However, we know that life expectancy in Brazil is increasing a lot. We say we have a new 60 plus adult every 20 seconds in Brazil because the older population is growing very fast, much more than the natality rate. So in 2040, we believe that the senior population will be the double than now. We are talking about 60 million people over the age of 60. And of course, these people will have to be on the job market. They will have to be active. But well, this is our reality in Brazil, a little bit of numbers, but we know this is a problem worldwide. We know that has been a problem in Europe right now, but it's growing in Latin America as well. So also we want to give you a rate of how companies are divided in Brazil, because usually we talk about companies, corporate companies, thinking that they will be the ones responsible to keep this population in the workforce. However, we do have to look at small and medium enterprises and startups as well. For example, in Brazil, we have 1.2 million small companies or medium companies with revenues up to $20 million. And they are responsible for 27% of our GDP. The big companies, the corporate ones in Brazil that have revenues over $20 million are less than 30,000 companies. Yes, they do have the majority of the labor spots right now. However, they are not doing a good job in the retention of the older population. The older population, those big companies, are the ones who are suffering more, the big dismissals occurring all over the world. And they were the ones that suffered more in the pandemic because they were the first ones to get fired. So in this review, we managed to work together in the workforce to understand how the oldest population will have to work with the youngest population in the labor market.
Good afternoon. The importance of intergenerational relationships in companies and their benefits and expanding the quality of health and well-being. As age diversity in the labor market is a reality and view of need for older people to remain economically active and need for companies to remain socially engaged by being plural and inclusive with different views of the world. One way to ensure this inclusion through relationships between different generations in companies and society, where intergenerational involved brings benefits in terms of mental health of those involved, such generation active. Benefits is a cooperation and collaboration, commitment, interaction, respect, diversity of ideas, stimulates creative and a new positive experience, sense of belonging, resilience, and empathy. According to questions and surveys, 7 out of 10 adults enjoy working with people from other generations. Senior professions appreciated the technical and technological knowledge and creativity of younger people, and younger people value seniors' experience, commitment, and emotional maturity. This exchange generates complementary of skills. Companies encouraging collaboration between people of different generations, promoting education, training, generating productive relationships and intergenerational teams, building activities, experience, intergenerational dialogues, actions. As intergenerational relationships expand with company with a mutual generational teams, discriminatory practices are being removed. Inclusive companies must develop and promote a culture of cooperation in which professionals respect difference and want to learning from each other. When professionals, regardless of age, feel unique and valued, they are more motivated in the teams and companies they work for, and motivations lead to better performance at work. Sobe aqui pouquinho só. Yes. What role does organizational culture play in pavement the way for intergenerational relationships. He framed stereotyped perceptions regarding age diversity. 2, respect and value different age groups and active longevity in production process. 3, training, mentor, managers, and teams in matter related to age diversity. Companies that promote diversity and intergenerational relationships and implement actions that integrate different generations, especially senior professions, will meet society's demand where longevity will be a pillar of the healthy economic of country and companies. So
this is our main subject to talk here. And now we can talk about some examples that we have in the last year of putting senior people working with younger people, and then we open for discussion. Is that all right? So we have been reaching out to big companies, but startups as well. And startups was a field that we were very afraid on having our seniors to work on, because startups are well known as companies that everything has to be very fast, everything has to be very agile, and lots of technology embedded on. So it's not believed to be a place where seniors should be. Youngest people were afraid of having our seniors engaged in their companies because they were known as people with no technology skills, no fast mindset for new ways of doing business. But we managed to put last year more than 20 seniors in small companies. And then we could see the impact of these seniors in those young teams. And also we could see the impact on the senior view to be working with a team of the youngest generation. And what we have seen that we mentioned in this slide is that actually the bias that the youngest had against, because it's a prejudice, so they had a bias against the senior people, were actually not, they were not true, because they saw that the senior that we placed on the startups could turn their mindset to implement new technologies. Of course, they were not in the first day ready for the new technologies, but they all were engaged in learning the new technologies, and they did. And then what the companies told us about their integration in the team is that the team managed to bring more cooperation, because they actually tried to set up the senior citizens in the group, and it worked well for everyone, not only for the senior people. They saw a commitment of the youngest also, because they saw the commitment of the senior people, and it was a very good example for the youngest. They brought interaction and respect in the team because our seniors were able to slow down a little bit the conversation and make everything interact better. They brought diverse of ideas, of course. First, they brought diverse of ideas in the products as well, because they could put on the table their views on how to do a project or a service that was indeed inclusive for the oldest. And of course, it stimulated creativity and sense of belonging for everyone. And of course, seniors are example of resilience, because even though in the examples that we saw were very good in the pandemic, because for the youngest, there was a crisis, and there was a crisis. However, our seniors, they have been through crisis before. Even like in Brazil, we have been to several crises, inflation, etc. And the seniors in the team could set down the tone and say, okay, it won't be the last crisis, and let's face down and see plan B, plan C, and plan D. Because the youngest were like, we're going to crash, we have to dismiss everyone. And the seniors were the ones that said, no, let's put plan B, plan C, and go one by one. So we have been monitoring these cases. We hope to bring data next year to see how these companies are increasing in revenues or decreasing in turnover of team. Shall we open for questions now? We have something on the chat.
Do you work in Brazil only or outside of Brazil also?
By now, we are only in Brazil.
But you spend for the world.
Yeah, we are going to Madrid next year because we have been talking to the European market, and it's the same. They still do not have an idea or something very well implemented to make younger generation to work with the older generation. So we are doing some studies with European market as well.
And the example is a launch talk channel, is the teams of multi-generations, because is 3 generations in the group. Is very interesting because you introduce many skills for the young and for the older. Is very interesting.
So she's talking about the channel that Eliane Kreisler is the head of a channel in YouTube that mixes 3 different ages. So she's the head with someone with a gerontologist,
yes,
30 years old, and then even younger, the video maker is 20 years old, and they work together, inviting people for interview and make studies with them, and trying to bring those intergeneration studies to the Brazilian market, to companies and open market.
And a consulting pontos and connections, né? Conexões, is prepare the young and the older people to stay in the small companies or big companies, and is very special for the Juliana, for the Talent Senior, to to put these older professionals in the startups.
Yes. Any questions or